You can find this in OMHS. We're in Unit 3, and this is Day 2. So Unit 3, Day 2. And it should also be titled with the date. So like 10/27/21, Day 2. A couple things I want to discuss just before we get started on the lesson is if you did not take the Unit 2 test for me this morning, you got an email reminding you to take it. Now, I didn't realize that the plan had it due on Friday, which that was an error. The reason why I'm so concerned about this Unit 2 test is because I'm trying to go through all of your benchmarks and see did they do better on the benchmark than they did on the test. And when your test was missing, I couldn't fix that. So once you take that Unit 2 test, then I can compare the data from the benchmark to it. And I got very concerned when there were so many Unit 2 tests missing, and well, the error on the plan explains why now. So if you got that email from me, you don't need to be panicking right now and trying to take it and when you're not ready. However, please know that I am on my end working on that benchmark data, and I want to make your grades higher, and I can't do that when the test scores aren't there. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And that's why you got those emails from me. There was no CC yesterday, but I still got an understanding test. So please remember that on Mondays, we have play pause it videos. We used to have live classes on Mondays and Wednesdays, but the Monday classes have turned into small group and honors for me. So instead of teaching live like I am right now on Mondays, you get the play pause it video. There's still an attendance quiz with it. There's still an exit ticket. The play pause it is in Unit 3. So you're going to want to click on Unit 3, Day 1. The play pause it video is there. Yep, so if you click on Unit 3 on your table of contents, Day 1 is labeled 10/25/21. That's the date. Day 1, and then in that folder, the play pause it video is there right under the notes. And you can still watch it. It's not closed. It'll stay open for you. And you can watch it as many times as you'd like. Can't find today's notes. Well, that's not good. Today's notes should be in Unit 3, and then the name of the folder is 10/27/21, Day 3, or Day 2. It's there. Okay. So the play pause it on Monday introduced a bunch of vocabulary. Navira, I'm trying to figure out how to get it to you quick. All right, for those of you who are trying to find the notes, I'm going to just share my screen with you real quick so you can see where we are. Okay, this is what mine looks like, but yours should be very similar. In your course, in your table of contents over on the left, scroll down until you get to Unit 3. There it is. The name of the folder is 10/27/21, Day 2. You can click on it, or you can just scroll down until you find it over here. The notes are the very first thing you got to click on them. The key will be posted after class, and then the recording will be updated once we record our class today. Nishmiya, I don't think the link would work because you're logged into that, so it wouldn't work. If it's not working, send me an email and I can attach the PowerPoint for you. Okay, so if it's really not working for you, send me an email real quick, and in one of my moments here, I can try to attach the PowerPoint for you. Where are we? Oh, playlist. There we go. Yeah, this is the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is the notes. Yeah, the PowerPoint is the notes. All right. Now back to what I was saying. Monday's play pause it was introducing vocabulary that we need for today's lesson. And if you didn't do it yet, that's okay. You can catch up. It's not a big deal. But we learned different types of angle relationships. We learned how to determine whether angles were corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior. We're also going to be using other angle relationships that we have already learned, such as vertical angles. Vertical angles are going to keep coming back to haunt us, and same with the linear pair. Okay. In Monday's Play Pause It, you had 2 lines and a transversal. Remember that a transversal is a line that intersects 2 or more lines. And in Monday's Play Pause It, it didn't matter whether those lines were parallel or not. Today, we're going to make sure that those lines are parallel. Okay, so let's look. All right, I want to keep talking about this. If the 2 lines are parallel, then these relationships have a special, I don't want to use the word relationship again, but I'm going to. The corresponding angles are going to be congruent, and the alternate interior angles will be congruent, and alternate exterior angles will be congruent. So far, everything's congruent, but then once we get to that consecutive interior angles, they're going to be supplementary. All of this is true, and you might want to highlight this somewhere. These things are only true if you have 2 parallel lines. If you don't have 2 parallel lines, then none of this can be true. Well, it could be, but you can't assume that it is. Okay, so all of this is true on your screen as long as you have 2 parallel lines. All right. So in my example here, there we go. It says that the measure of angle 1 is 65 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and just write 65 right here where angle 1 is. Find the measure of each missing angle. All right. So what's key here, and it's a little tiny detail, but it's very important, is do you see these little arrows right here? Right here, these little arrows mean that those lines are parallel. So now that those lines are parallel, all of these relationships on this page will hold. Okay. So I like to first look at corresponding angles. Angle 1 is up here in the top left. What angle is corresponding to angle 1? Anyone know? Yay, thank you, Brayden. Anyone else want to chime in? Thank you, Hannah. Very good. Not 3, not 2, not 7. Okay, so remember that corresponding, and the way I explained it was they're in the same seat. You have groups of angles here. And if I said, hey, student number 1, go sit in your corresponding seat in the other group, well, they would go sit in number 5 seat. So if you said 5, you were correct. Good job. Okay, so angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. Of course, it won't let me erase this. Okay, and as long as those lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. So now I know what the measure of angle, what was it, 5? Angle 5 is. Angle 5 has to be 65 degrees. Pen. And the reasons, because it says give you reasoning, I'm going to say angle 5 and angle 1 are corresponding. So do 7 and 3. Yep, 7 and 3 are also corresponding. You don't have to start with corresponding angles. You could start somewhere else. Maybe you like to start with vertical angles. And I always go back and reference the one that they give me. So I'm going to reference angle 1 as many times as I can because I know that is 65. Like it told me that, so there was no error there. What about vertical angles? What angle is vertical to angle 1? 3. Yes, thank you. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical. So now I know angle 3 has to be 65 degrees. I should have written that over here. That's silly. I'm going to put that over here. Okay, now vertical angles are always congruent no matter what. Parallel lines are not. Vertical angles will always be congruent. Okay, so angle 3 is 65. And then someone in my chat said, well, aren't 7 and 3 corresponding? They certainly are. Okay, so now we know what angle 7 is. We know angle 3 is 65 degrees because it's vertical to angle 1. And now we know that angle 7 is 65 degrees because it's corresponding to angle 3. There was another answer there, which I probably have on the key. Angle 1 and angle 7, here's angle 1 and here's angle 7. Those are alternate exterior angles. That was an angle relationship that we discussed in Play Posit. Alternate exterior angles are congruent as long as the lines are parallel, which we actually just kind of proved. We just did a little informal proof there. We said the 1 and 3 have to be congruent because they're vertical, and 3 and 7 are congruent because they're corresponding. So we just proved that angle 1 and 7 were congruent. That's pretty cool. I'm getting really messy over here, but oh well. All right. So 2 and 8 would be congruent. Yes, 2 and 8 would be congruent. Very good. Now let's look at angles 2, 4, 6, and 8. Those are not going to be 65 degrees. Clearly they're obtuse in the picture. So now let's look at a different kind of relationship. I'm going to get rid of this mess I have here. Okay, so we know this is 65. Remember, a line measures 180. Do you remember that? So the measure of angle 2 has to be, yay, 115. It has to be 115 degrees because these have to add up to 180. So angle 2 is 115, and my reason for that is going to be linear pair to angle 1. Okay, and we know that linear pairs are supplementary. Now we're going to kind of follow the same process. Do you see an angle that's vertical to angle 2? Angle 4, right? Angle 4 and 2 are vertical, so angle 4 has to be 115 degrees. And my reason for that is going to be it's vertical to angle 1. Or angle 2, my apologies. You could have also said that 1 and 4 are a linear pair because they are. Here's the line. So you could say that 1 and 4 are a linear pair, and you're still going to have 115. So your reason might be different than mine on your paper, and that's not terrible. 6 would also be 115. Yep, 6 is also 115 degrees. And you could say that it is, you've got options. And on an assessment, there would only be one correct answer, promise. Hold on. Okay. There's different ways that you could say that angle 6 is 115. Okay. You could say that it's corresponding to angle 2. That'd be perfect. Or you could say that angle 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles. Because the lines are parallel, alternate interior angles have to be congruent. Either one would be right. So if you want to write corresponding to angle 2, perfect, that's great. Or if you want to write alternate interior angle to angle 4, that would be okay too. And yes, those of you writing in the chat, 8 is also 115 degrees. And now we've got all kinds of reasons for it. You could say that 8 is vertical to angle 6. Wonderful. You could say that 8 and 4 are corresponding. That's good too. You could say that 8 and 2 are alternate exterior angles, and that would still be okay. You could even mention something about a linear pair with 5 or 7. There's literally almost every option here for you. You just have to be careful with what angle you're relating it to. Make sure you're using the right vocabulary word. I don't even remember what I put on my key. I'm going to say it's an alternate exterior angle to angle 2. Okay. Here's what I want you to take away from it. I'm going to write this in my picture. 65, 65, 65. What do you notice about all of the acute angles in this picture right now? You can type it in the chat. What do you notice about all of the acute angles in the picture? They're all the same. They're all 65. Now you know what I'm going to ask next. What do you notice about all the obtuse angles in this picture? They're all congruent, right? So if you can find one acute angle, you know all of them. If you can find one of the obtuse angles, you know all of them. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. And pretty easy, right? All right. This one says the measure of angle 6 is 142 degrees. On your own, just fill in what you think the measures of each one is here. We'll take like 2 minutes to do that, and then we can fill in the reasons together. But for right now, just come up with the numbers. What is the measure of angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Well, not 6. That was given. So take 2 minutes, come up with the measures of each of these angles, and then we can put in the reasons together. Which page, Navira? Hold on. Navira, I'm going to email you the PowerPoint while we're doing this. Hold on. All right, you can go ahead and check yours with mine. Hopefully we got the same numbers there. All of your obtuse angles should all be 142 degrees, and all of your acute angles should be 38 degrees. That takes care of half of what you were supposed to do. Let's do the other half, the part of where you have to give your reasoning. I always relate it to the given angle as much as I can. Okay, so I'm going to do everything I can to relate it to angle 6. So angle 1 and angle 6. This is where those relationships from last class are going to come in handy. Here's angle 1 and here's angle 6. What kind of angles are those? They're vertical angles. So I'm going to say vertical angles. Okay. Now angle 2, I'm going to do my best to relate it to angle 6. I can do that. Here's angle 2 and here's angle 6. They are a linear pair, so we can say linear pair. And you're right, it's linear pair with angle 6. And this is vertical angles. Vertical angle to angle 6. All right, now we're looking at angle 3. Angle 3 is here, and angle 6 is here. What's the relationship there? Yay, Valeria, you are rocking this. Good job. They are alternate interior angles. Very good, Hannah. Yeah, alternate interior angles will be congruent as long as the lines are parallel. So I'm going to write alternate interior angle. Well, that's an angle symbol. To angle 6. Okay, angle 4. Now this one I can't relate to angle 6. Okay, because here's angle 6 and here's angle 4. There's no direct relationship there. They're not corresponding. They're not both interior and they're not both exterior. So this is one case where I'm going to have to like relate it to something else. I'm going to relate it to one that I already know. So I can relate it to angle 4 or angle 3. I could relate it to angle 2. I could relate it to, either angle 3 or angle 2. So if you want to relate it to angle 3, you can say it's a linear pair to angle 3. Or you could have also said that it was corresponding to angle 2. Either one of those would have been okay. That's it. 2. There we go. Okay, now let's look at angle 5. Angle 5 is here, and we're going to relate it to angle 6 if we can. Oh, we can. They're a linear pair. Or you could say it's vertical to angle 2. That would be okay also, because that's not wrong. I'm just going to do my best to relate it to that given angle 6. So I'm going to say it's linear to angle 6, but if you had another reason, like vertical to angle 2, that would have been okay. Alternate exterior with angle 5. Angle 4 and angle 5 are alternate exterior angles. That would have worked too, Valeria. Well, you're doing a good job at catching on there, Navira. You're all right. All right, let's look at angle 7. Angle 7 is here. Angle 6 is here. I'm going to relate those. Okay, so if we learned a set of steps to kind of go through to figure out what kind of angles are they. I usually ask myself, are they sitting in the same seat? Are they in the same position? Well, 6 and 7 are not. Are they both on the inside? Meaning, are they both in between the two lines? They are. So these are interior angles. And then I ask myself, are they on the same side or different sides of the transversal? Well, 6 and 7 are both on the right side. So these are consecutive interior angles, and consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So I can say that it is a consecutive interior angle to angle 6 because that 142 and 38 are supplementary. So I'm going to write consecutive interior angle to angle 6. Yes, a lot of you wrote consecutive interior. Good job. I try to relate them to angle 6, and the reason is because that's given to me, and I know I didn't mess that up, right? Like maybe, and I've done this, maybe you haven't, and if you haven't, that's awesome. But like maybe you did 180 minus 141, and now you have the wrong answer for half of them just because you typed something wrong. At least I know that angle 6 is not wrong. So that's why I keep relating it to angle 6. You can relate it to the other angles, and that is okay. I just personally like to keep relating it back to the one that I know is correct 100%. But if you're relating it to the other angles, that's fine. That's okay. Let's see, the last one, angle 8. I'm going to relate angle 8 and angle 6. Corresponding. Thank you, Najmia. You beat me to it. They are corresponding. Okay. There are lots of correct answers here. And it's actually very possible that I wrote different answers on my key because there's so many different ones. If you're ever not sure, at least like on a notes or a practice, you're always welcome to reach out to me. On an assessment, there's no tricks. Okay, there won't be any tricks. If there's more than one answer, only one of those more than one answers would be there. Okay. All right. What are we looking at? 24. All right. I am actually going to leave this one for you to try on your own. I know there are 3 parallel lines there. Okay, but the idea is the same. All of the acute angles will be the same. All of the obtuse angles will be the same. And you don't even have to come up with a reason here. They just want numbers. Okay, so I'm confident that you can do this one. It says the measure of angle 5 equals 82. One thing that students make the biggest mistake on is they look at the picture and they look at the box, but they forget to read the words. Read the words. A lot of the times it gives you a very important piece of information, like the measure of angle 5 equals 82. You can't solve any of these other ones without that. So make sure that if you're looking at the picture and you look at the box and you freeze, you don't know what's going on, take a deep breath and read the words, and I bet there will be a piece of information there to help you. Okay, I'm going to let example 3 be there for you because I want to show you example 4. I thought we could probably do this one together. All right, let me make my screen as big as I can. All right, anytime you see a picture that maybe feels a little overwhelming, I want you to tell yourself one step at a time. Okay, one step at a time. This really isn't difficult, but you just got to do it one step at a time. I think that can be true for just about anything, right? All right, let's look here. The given says the measure of angle 12 equals 121. So I'm going to add 121 degrees to my picture here. And the measure of angle 6 is 75 degrees. Wonderful. Okay, now what I like to do, and maybe you like something different, I like to look at all of my vertical angles first because I know that vertical angles have to be congruent. So I know that angle 12 and angle 7 are vertical, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 121 here. And I see that angle 6 and angle 1 are vertical, so now I know angle 1. I'm completely ignoring this box of answers right now. I'm just going to fill in the numbers in the picture and use that to answer the question over here. All right. Now, we also know linear pairs. We know that a linear pair has to add up to 180. So I can now easily figure out angle 11 or angle 8. Right? I'll do 180 minus 121, and we get, what do we get? 59. So now I know angle 11 is 59 and angle 8 is 59. So far, I've just used information that we knew before Unit 3. All right, anything else I can do? Now, my trick for all acute angles are congruent and all obtuse angles are congruent isn't going to work here. Why? Because I have more than one transversal. I have more than one transversal, so I can't say that all the acute angles are the same. Let's look at the parallel lines. Let's see. I like the green. We'll do green. So here's a parallel line. Oh, I don't like that it's so fat. And pick a transversal. I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so we're going to ignore that other transversal for just a moment. So that means that this angle, angle 7, has to be congruent to this angle because they are corresponding. Well, this angle is 121, which means this whole thing has to be 121. Angle 1 is 75. How could I find angle 2? What would you do? Yay! Thank you for those of you typing it in the chat. You're right. It's 121 minus 75. Or maybe, Faith, you're not wrong. You could add. You could say 75 plus angle 2 equals 121 and solve it for that way. Okay, so if the whole big angle has to be 121 and you know a piece of it is 75, then you can find that other piece. And so angle 2 has to be 46. Okay. Well, now that I know angle 2, I know angle 2 and angle 5 are vertical. So now I know angle 5. That's got to be 46. All right, we're moving along here. How about angle 4? I've got such a big mess. I wish I could erase this. All right. Here's angle 4. What does angle 4 have to be congruent to? Well, it has to be congruent to angle 11. So angle 4 is 59 because they're corresponding. And now 4 and 3, those are vertical. So that means angle 3 has to be 59. Now all we're left with is this group over here. All right. All right, I'm going to kind of redraw the picture just because I've got such a mess up there, but I don't want to erase it. So I'm going to look at the parallel lines. I'm going to look at this transversal. We still need to find angle 9, 10, 14, and 13. We know this angle is 75 degrees. We know this angle is 75 degrees. And that's really all I need, right? Because corresponding angles will tell me that angle 14 has to be 75 degrees because these are corresponding, so they're congruent. Vertical angles will tell me that angle 9 is now 75. And now I can use what I know about a linear pair to find the measures of angle 10 and angle 13. 180 minus 75, 105. And now you can take all of those numbers and plop them in these boxes. Okay, so even though that picture looked a little overwhelming at first, you just take it step by step. And I start with the easy ones, vertical angles, linear pairs. That helps me fill in a lot of them. Pick some parallel lines and a transversal and see if you can match some corresponding angles. And a lot of the time, that'll finish it for you. You might need an alternate interior angle here or there, but really vertical angles, linear pairs, and corresponding angles can really take care of a lot of those angles for you. All right, so we have 75, 46, 59, 59, 46, 121, 59, 75, 105, 59. How's she doing this so fast? Well, I'm looking at the picture over here. 105 and angle 14 was 75. And these are all in degrees because they are angles. Now, I will tell you that every single assessment that you are given is designed so you only need a keyboard. I designed it so you only need a keyboard. So do not type angle or the degree symbols in your answers. I accounted for that already in the box. All right, before we move on anymore, I want to give you your attendance word before I forget. Your attendance word today is highlighter. Angle. Gotta spell it right. Angle. Write that down somewhere. Your attendance word is angle. Not angel. Please don't put angel in the box. That's not going to work. Angle. Angle, angle. When you have that written down, let me know that we can move on. Give me a green check. All right, almost there. I got the word. I'm giving you a green check to tell you I'm here, and I got the word. $14 more people out there. All right, Ryan, you got the word. Give me a check when you do. Kaylee, give me a check when you've got the word. Ray, Kirsten, and Sanaya. There we go. Thank you, guys. Do you not see the poll on your screen? All right. Moving on. All right, I want to do some of these algebra ones before we get too far into class and then run out of time. If we have time, I'll come back to example 5, but just remind yourself, just one step at a time. Okay, just one step at a time. I'm confident you can figure this out. We'll come back to this at the end if there's time. Same with example 6. I want to show you some of the stuff with algebra, just because we're going to combine the best of both worlds here. We're going to combine our geometry world with our algebra world. All right, one thing that you have to remember is that all of the relationships from the first page, corresponding angles are congruent. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. Consecutive interior angles are supplementary. All of those relationships only work when the lines are parallel. Now, vertical angles and linear pair can work no matter what, but those 4 from the beginning, where'd they go? These 4, they have to have parallel lines for this to be true. Okay? Okay. So that's why it says if L is parallel to M. So as soon as they say that here, they're giving you the green light to use all of the relationships that we just talked about. Yep, you're right. If you're on a phone, you can't see the poll. That explains why people were giving me little check marks in the box. Yep, Faith, you got it. So whenever you are setting up an equation, you need to ask yourself, are my angles, are they equal or are they supplementary? Okay, that's the question. If they're equal, then you say that they're equal. And if they're supplementary, then you add them together to get 180. Well, how do you know? We have to figure out what kind of angle relationship they are. So I look at the angles, and I have a 58 here and a 5x minus 2. What kind of angle relationship is this? Is this corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive interior, or none of those things? They are corresponding. Very good. Okay, I know it didn't ask us that, but that is definitely something you need to be able to identify. So I'm going to write that down here. So they're corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are congruent when the lines are parallel. So now we can set up our equation. 58 equals 5x minus 2. Okay, now the geometry part is over, and we play algebra. I'm personally going to add 2 to both sides. Remember, the property that allows me to add something to both sides is the addition property. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Dividing both sides by 5 is the division property. And what do we get? We get 12. And that's all it was asking for. Find the value of the variable. If you wanted to double check, you could take that 12 and plug it in. 5 times 12 minus 2. Make sure you get 58, because if you don't get 58, you did something wrong. All right, let's look at number 2. What kind of angle relationship are these angles? So are they corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior? What do you think? Yay, these are alternate exterior angles. They are on the outside of the parallel lines, and they are on different sides of the transversal. So they are alternate exterior. Alternate exterior angles are congruent when the lines are parallel. Now, if you didn't remember, or you haven't done the play pause it yet, so you just didn't see it yet, that relationship, that alternate exterior angle, you can at least set up this equation because you should be able to recognize that they are both obtuse angles. And since they're both obtuse and the lines are parallel, these must be equal. So there's a little loophole. Yes, you need to know these relationships, corresponding, alternate exterior, and whatnot. But if you forget them on just for a second, or you're not really confident in them, you can still set up your equations because I gave you that trick. As long as the lines are parallel, all of your obtuse angles will be equal. All of your acute angles will be equal. So now we can solve. Subtract 22 from both sides. Divide by 16. Faith, I'm going to trust you. 7? She's right. Good job, Bryce. Very good. Yay, good job, Axel. All right, now let's do number 3. What's the angle relationship in number 3? What do you think? Corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior? This 125, by the way, is labeling this angle. And this 7x minus 1 with that little arrow, it's pointing to this angle. These are alternate interior. Very good. Thank you, those of you in the chat. Alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles will be congruent when the lines are parallel. So you can set up your equation. Congruent. Add 1 to both sides. Divide by 7. 18. Okay, so now you have to be very careful because you start falling into this very comfortable make them equal pattern. Don't fall for that. Okay, just because all 3 of these have been equal doesn't mean they're always going to be equal, right? There's one relationship where they aren't. The consecutive interior angles. I'm going to go back to that slide here just real quick. Where'd you go? There we go. Consecutive interior angles, they are supplementary. There's another name for consecutive interior angles. You might hear consecutive interior angles also referred to as same side interior. And this is actually how we used to teach it. Same side interior angles. I like to call them same side interior angles because I start to feel like a snake. Same side supplementary. Same side supplementary. Okay. And another way that you can remember that is when you look at the angles. Where'd they go? There we go. This angle right here, clearly it's acute, right? And this angle, well, that's obtuse. You could not possibly have an acute angle equal to an obtuse angle. That's not going to work, right? Because acute means less than 90 and obtuse means greater than 90. There's no number that is both. So they could not possibly be equal. So there's only really one other option here, and I'm seeing it in the chat, and you're right, they're supplementary. So these are consecutive interior angles or same side interior. Consecutive interior angles, those are supplementary. So this one is going to be a 9x plus 2 plus 133 equals 180. So it's a really good idea to make sure that you are always going to that first question. Are they equal or are they supplementary? Don't just assume they're equal, because if it was a multiple choice answer, I promise you the wrong answer will be there, right? So just don't fall into that trap. Combine your like terms. Subtract 135 from both sides. 45. And then divide by 9. Oh, you guys are fast. Good job. All right. The next page is 4 more practice problems doing the exact same thing. Setting up an equation and solving for x. I'm not going to go through the solving part here because I want to go on to the next page, but we can at least set these up. So on number 5, what do you think? Are these angles going to be equal or supplementary? Let's see. I'm going to do a poll. Check mark for equal, X for supplementary. Check mark for equal, X for supplementary. Number 5, what do you think? If you need to move the poll box, you can. If you don't see the poll box, just say it out loud. X or check mark for equals, X for supplementary. Number 5. All right. Thank you for those of you who participated. And if you're doing it on your phone, I'm really sorry. The correct answer is they are equal. They are equal. Why are they equal? Well, this angle out here and this angle here, those are alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles are congruent as long as the lines are parallel. And this is the same directions as before. Lydia, I like how you thought of that. You're right. So I'm just going to set this up for you, and I'll let you solve later because the setup is really the big one. Okay. Number 6, we're going to do the same thing. Look at the angles in number 6. Check mark for equal, X for supplementary. You can move the box around if you have to, if you can't see the question. In number 6, check mark for equal, X for supplementary. This one we're tied. Yeah, Valeria, you're right. Haley, you're right. All right, if you said that they were equal, you are correct. They are corresponding. Is 11x minus 47 is this angle right here. And the 6x minus 2 is this angle right here. They are in the same position. They are corresponding, so they must be equal. So when you set up your equation, you're going to make those two expressions equal to one another. I'm glad we're practicing this. All right, I'm going to do the same thing for number 7. Number 7, ask yourself, are they equal or supplementary? Check mark for equal, X for supplementary. Oh, we're improving. Check mark for equal, X for supplementary. All right. Yes, Haley, you're right. That's exactly what they are. All right. If you said they were equal, you are correct. Okay. Why are they equal? Well, this angle right here is the 13x minus 2, and this angle right here is the 5x plus 7. They are both on the inside or in between the two parallel lines, and they are on different sides of the transversal. 13x minus 21 is on the left side, 5x plus 75 is on the right side. They are alternate interior angles. They're also both obtuse. So when you set up your equation, you're going to say 13x minus 21 equals 5x plus 75. All right, last one, at least for this polling stuff. In number 8, I see a 5x plus 3 and a 9x minus 33. Look at the angles that they're labeling and tell me, are these angles going to be equal or supplementary? Check mark equal, x supplementary. Nice. Check mark equals, x supplementary. Check mark equals, x supplementary. Get a couple more answers there. If you think they're equal in number 8, click the check. If you think they are supplementary, click the X. You're right, Haley. All right, if you said the X that time, if you said supplementary, you were correct. Okay, and if you look at the angle here, 5x plus 3, that's a little acute angle. Oh, how cute. And then 9x minus 33, that's an obtuse angle. They could not possibly be equal. And their relationship, their consecutive interior angle or same side interior, both would work. So you could say they're same side interior or consecutive interior, same thing. They're going to be supplementary. So your equation is going to look different. It's going to have those two expressions added together to get 180. These types of problems are my most missed problems because students want to make everything equal and they forget to think of that first step. So just make sure you're double checking that first step. Okay, I'm going to let you solve those and check your answers then, but this is definitely how you would set them up. I want to show you an example where maybe you have two variables. Okay, so two variables. In number 9, I see an x and I see a y. Well, I certainly don't want to set up an equation with both of those because I can't solve it. Not with our skills that we have right now from Algebra 1. So what you want to do is look for the two expressions that have the same variable. This 8x minus 31 and this 6x plus 3 have the same variable. So for now, I'm ignoring this. Okay? And then I say, well, what's the relationship between these two? 8x minus 31 and 6x plus 3. Are they equal or are they supplementary? Yeah, you're right. Everyone writing equal in the chat, you're right. These are alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles are congruent when the lines are parallel. So we're going to start first by saying 8x minus 31 equals 6x plus 3. And we're going to solve for x. I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. 2x minus 31 equals 3. Add 31 to both sides. Divide by 2. Was it 17? Yes. Now I know x equals 17. So what I'm going to do is go back to my picture. And I'm going to plug 17 in for x. So I'm going to say, well, 8 times 17 minus 31. And you can use a calculator, of course. You get 105. So this angle is 105 degrees. You could plug it in here for the 6x plus 3 just to make sure you got the same thing. 6 times 17 plus 3, you still get 105. If it helps to redraw the picture, you certainly may. You can always redraw a picture. This is 5y plus 35. And you know that this angle right here is 105. Or you know that this angle is 105. So you can pick whichever 105 you want to relate it to. In any case, the 5y plus 35 and the 105, are they going to be equal or supplementary? The 5y plus 35 and the 105 will be supplementary. If you chose to relate it to this angle, they're supplementary because they're consecutive interior angles. If you chose to relate it to this 105, they're supplementary because they're a linear pair. Either way, they're supplementary. Okay, so get rid of this. You're going to set up an equation where your 5y plus 35 and 105 are supplementary. Combine your like terms. Subtract 140 from both sides. And then divide both sides by 5. So if you see an example where you have two variables, you're going to pick the two expressions that have the same variable, solve for that variable first, plug it back into your picture, and then use that new picture to solve for the other variable. Okay. That is going to be the same idea for number 10, number 11, number 12. I want to show you one that maybe looks a little different since we're running low on time. Where did the 105 come from? Plugging that 17 back into this expression. When you plug the 17 back in either here or here, that's where 105 came from. Okay, I'm going to show you number 14, just because it looks a little different. We've got more than one transversal going on. The idea is going to be kind of the same, right? Pick the two expressions that have the same variable. So that would be this 8x minus 1 and this 11x minus 25. However, they don't have a relationship right now because they're not touching the same transversal. But we know that we've got some parallel lines here. So that means that this angle has to be congruent to this one because of corresponding angles. And I know that this angle has to be congruent to this one because of alternate interior angles. So even though the 11x minus 25 and the 8x minus 1, they don't have a relationship to each other, they both can relate to this angle here, and that transitive property is going to be my friend. So I can say that this angle is 11x minus 25. Oh, that came out sloppy. 11x minus 25 because of corresponding angles. And I know that 8x minus 1 and this angle, 11x minus 25, are congruent by alternate interior angles. So even though they didn't have a relationship to start, I figured out a way to give them that relationship. And now I can solve for x. Subtract 8x from both sides. Add a 25 to both sides. Divide by 3. I'm going to take that x equals 8 and plug it back in here. 11 times 8 minus 25. What do we get? 63. So that means this angle is 63 degrees. And now I have a linear pair. Linear pair is supplementary. Okay, someone accidentally put on their caps lock, I think. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second to answer your question. What does the dash dash? Oh, this? This is the symbol for parallel. Okay, and then we're going to solve for y. Combine your like terms. What do you get there? 15. Subtract 15 from both sides, and then divide by 15. All right. On the last page, these are two what I would call challenge problems. Okay. I definitely think you should try them. This is definitely a challenge problem. So try it out. And then 16, I'm just going to go and cross off number 16. Just cross off. It requires a skill that we haven't learned yet. By the end of the year, you'll be able to do number 16, but not at this exact second. I mean, maybe you could if you knew a little bit more about geometry than I've taught. You can absolutely try 16. I'm not telling you like you can't do it. It just requires a skill that I haven't taught you yet. So I'm considering number 15 a challenge, number 16 something you'll be able to do by the end of the year. And then you can go back and practice the ones that we skipped. Hopefully you learned something today. Okay. I would definitely make sure that you practice those examples that I skipped over before you do the exit ticket, so that way you can ask me questions. Okay. I hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget to do the attendance quiz and don't forget to do the exit ticket. Have a great day, everyone. Yeah, Tia, that's fine. And I'll post the key, except I probably crossed it off in my key too. But you can email it to me. I'm happy with that.